everyone. Today I'm going to read you a poem from my second poetry collection in English, Between Lives. This is a long narrative poem dedicated to the memory of my beloved grandmother who passed a few years ago. It's called Granny and Holmes. Granny is dead, I hear today, over the long distance gone, and my mind immediately dashes to the death scene. I see her as I always wanted to see her, finally freed from her sick and obese body, stepping out of her condo, barefoot and chadorless, observing the trees and the sun that shimmers in her dyed golden hair, and then sprinting along Tehran's street as light as autumn's falling leaves lifted up in a passing breeze. Meanwhile, at the scene, 4 paramedics lift her corpse up, covered with her white chador, cheer Ya Ali to have more strength to place the dead body on a stretcher and carry down the stairs from the 5th floor. They wait on each landing, straighten their backs, once more heave another Ya Ali under the heavy weight which draws neighbors out from doors. Men join men to carry the body, women and children join a throng of crying women alongside Granny's nurse and my aunts. I, however, leave the crowd and follow Granny's soul. She had the spirit of a young girl. I saw it in her twinkling eyes whenever she watched Sherlock Holmes, a British series on Iranian TV. She liked arrogant, broad-shouldered men, big-bodied like her brother Ahmad, who was known in the family as a womanizer, a wife-beater. All his 5 wives had divorced him, and even his only son had left him for his ill temper. But Granny said that Ahmad was her most handsome brother, and her brown eyes glittered, such that she no longer looked unwell and helpless. Ahmad was no doubt good-looking, white-chested, irresistibly charming. He dressed meticulously, like a gentleman, used to smoke a pipe when he had been a detective in Tehran's Scotland Yard. Even as a real estate agent, which he became later in his life, he carried certain weight. He would not fall for scams, for he could discern a tiny hidden hair in a large bowl of yogurt, even without a magnifying glass, which he kept on his desk at his agency in Queen Faras Street. I always wished I could take my Granny Sultanate, whose name meant ruling the kingdom, for a walk in her neighborhood of Sultanatabad. But when she passed through the entrance door of her apartment, she also had to step down 1,000 stairs. She could hardly make it to the washroom in her last days. She sometimes tried, in spite of her nurse, pushing herself forward on her crutches, the washroom door giving way at the first touch of her massive body. But today her soul sprints on her toes around the neighborhood, going in and out of the shops, the grocery store, the dressmaker, then thousands of lights shimmering in a window draw her near. At this point, I leave her and rush back to the death scene. The paramedics should have made it by now down the stairs onto the street. The ambulance red lights still blink. More people from neighboring buildings gather by the door from which Granny's body emerges, carried by several men, drops of sweat falling from their faces. They have to push their way among the mass, as if they are carrying a ruler on the throne among her people. I stand by the open doors of the ambulance for a closer last look at Granny. Her right hand is the only part that sticks out from the opening in her chador. Is deformed, with inflamed knuckles and awkwardly crooked fingers. She nevertheless kept her nails neat and clean, her bulky legs with swollen knees under the thin fabric of her chador looked like two large pillows. Granny suffered from rheumatism since her youth, perhaps soon after her first pregnancy at 13. Tehran's winters were much colder in the old days, when she had to break the ice on the pool in the yard to get water and wash the rags she used as pampers for her newborn. Another pregnancy occurred soon, and then the next followed. 3 of her kids died. She found them suffocated in the morning because of the heavy fumes of the coal with which she kept the room warm. 8 children survived. She put on weight and her joints ached all through the year. Then pain got worse. The more she aged, then she became immobile, stuck to her mattress in front of the TV with a tray full of various medicines and her dentures in a glass of water close by, and the TV control in her hand, waiting for Dr. Watson to announce the new adventure of her beloved Holmes. I stand by the scene until the ambulance leaves. Then I go back to find Granny outside the light shop where I left her. She's inside, however. She looks like a 9-year-old girl who I heard she once was at her wedding, wearing a veil which was lit by dozens of decorative lights. She held a switch in her hand under the frill of her white dress and from time to time turned the lights on and off. I return to the present in my thoughts when the shopkeeper, a small old man similar to my old grandpa, who unlike Emmett or Holmes was neither handsome nor condescending, calls, "Excuse me, ma'am." He's talking to Granny, gently asking her to stop switching on and off a chandelier that has captivated her in the same way as the lights installed in her veil once did. So captivated that she didn't recognize what had just happened to her, that this small and shy 30-year-old man who held her hand and moved her around among the guests was her husband. The shopkeeper pulls at Granny's hands, but she neither notices him nor sees me. She's again mesmerized by the lights. Like a queen, she has fair skin, and her intense brown eyes are twinkling for me, the way I always wanted them to be. Her golden hair shimmers. I feel light. Granny is dead, and her pupils, like a dark sun, power up. Thanks for bearing with me throughout the poem. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye for now, until the next video, the next poem.